Crack-a-lack and Joseph. So today you're going to be officially learning the final little pieces of our wonderful quadratic functions. So let's just dive in, shall we? Okay, so vocabulary. We have f of x equals a x squared plus bx plus c when a is never equal to 0. And so let's kind of plug in the pieces that we know, right? So a quadratic function is this is in standard form right here. So yeah, if you have all these pieces, that's just standard form. Kind of like how we have y equals mx plus b, and that's our standard form for linear equations. This is our standard form for quadratic functions. And so this is our parabola. Our vertex, if a is greater than 0, it is a minimum value. If a is less than 0, it is a maximum value. So if you have a negative number, you are going to be going downwards like a sad face on a face. Or if it's a positive, you're going upwards, which means you have a smiley face. That's just kind of a good way to remember it. And then axis of symmetry. And so I didn't teach you this yet, but we do have a formula to find axis of symmetry. So our axis of symmetry is x equals negative b over 2a. And so anytime that we need to find what that axis of symmetry is, we use that formula, and that helps us figure out what the vertex is. Oops, sorry. And then our y-intercept is our c. So wherever it's crossing on the y-axis, that's what your c is going to be. We'll learn about how to find b and a in the future, but c is just the easiest one to educate you on right now, as it doesn't connect to any special formulas or steps that we had to take. All right, so let's kind of look at this. Example 1, we've looked at that parent function, right? And so I always told you to try to use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2 for your x's. And then you just plug them into your formula and you solve for y. And you're going to get something like this, right? You plug in that x and you solve. And then you're going to get something like that. And that's the easiest way to graph our functions here. So if you have any questions, let me know. But we're going to kind of keep going. So let's kind of look at this. What are the coordinates of the vertex? Okay, so our vertex is 0, 0. Is it a minimum or a maximum? And this is actually going to be our minimum. Okay. What is the equation of for the axis of symmetry? And it's actually going to be x is equal to 0. Where are the x and y intercepts? Well, we're crossing at 0 on the x-axis and y as 0 as well. So those are our intercepts. And then our domain is all real numbers for x, and then our range is y is greater than or equal to 0. So we have this idea as well. So, I mean, we still do the exact same process when we have a full formula, but now we just have multiple x's. We have to plug in our choice of x values into our equation. And so we still do that same process. We just replace x with whatever we chose, and we solve to get our y. We just kind of go through that process. And then once you have all of your x's and your y's at least 5 points, you can go ahead and graph your parabola. And then you can look at that graph and you can answer questions like, what is the vertex? What is our line of symmetry? Where is it crossing the x-axis at? Where is it crossing the y-axis at? And you can kind of go through those steps. So our coordinates for this vertex is, let's see, -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. -9. And it's also going to be our minimum because it's a smiley face, right? What is the equation for the x-axis of symmetry? Well, it looks like it's going to be crossing at x equals -1. Where are the x and y intercepts? Well, it's crossing the y-axis at y equals -8, and then it's crossing the x-axis at 2. And yes, and -4 as well. I missed that piece, sorry. And then what are the domains and range? Of course, you're going to have all real numbers for x, and then your y is going to be greater than or equal to anything that is larger than -9. Cool. Let's keep going. So steps for graphing without using a table. I'm going to run out of time, so why don't you go ahead and watch that next video to get the